Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran. Today we'll be taking a look at the PvP side of the game for the patch 9.1.5. While none of the PvP elements like PvP changes, PvP talents, or any class-specific PvP changes have come out, we do have some updates when it comes to PvP gear. Primarily the item level of PvP gear and the scaling, as well as even different ranks. As in PvP gear right now in Shadowlands, we do have the vendors where you buy the gear from, and then you upgrade that gear with honor gear, whether you bought that gear originally for honor or conquest. Blizzard stated that they want to make the gearing from the conquest side of the game a little bit more granular by adding more ranks into that system, which hopefully will allow players, as they're pushing for higher rating, an easier time to achieve their goals, as the gear has slightly more upgrades in between of different rating caps. I will also take a look at the honor gear because that's gotten some adjustments as well, and we can talk about how else can Blizzard improve the gearing for PvP going into patch 9.1.5. So let's first lay out the data. What do we have when it comes to PvP gear, and how does it look like so far? Currently, patch 9.1 system with gear has honor gear and conquest gear of different ranks, and this rank gear upscales in PvP. That means when you wear PvP gear, it actually jumps up an item level once you enter player versus player combat, be it world PvP with war mode on, battlegrounds, arenas, you name it. Current honor gear starts out at 177 item level and is upgradable. 177 item level upgrades to 190 within PvP situations through scaling, and the highest item level you can reach of the honor gear is 216, that upscales to 229. This gear is locked behind ranks, and what is to note also is there is renown requirements behind the ranks of gear. That will be important to mention in the future as we talk about how they can improve on the gear. Conquest gear is the gear you get from arenas and any rated content. Conquest gear starts out at rank unranked before you get any kind of rating at 220 item level, upscaling to 223. And afterwards you need rating requirements to be able to upgrade this gear, going all the way to 226 at duelist, which is 2100. Upscaling in PvP to 259 item level. Both sets of gear you will need honor points in order to upgrade them in ranks, but conquest gear is not locked behind any renown requirements, but rather rating. So how does this gearing system change so far in 9.1.5? And it's very important to note the so far element because 9.1.5 isn't out yet. This is just a PTR version, and there's most likely going to be a lot of other changes before it's released. But the current system so far has gotten adjusted. The honor gear in 9.1.5 in development process starts still out at 177 item level, but immediately we see that its upscaled item level in PvP is 213. And every single upgrade of that item level gear, the actual PvE item level stays about the same. It still has the same renown requirements of 44 and 59 at different renown steps, but the actual scaling of that gear goes up by 3 item level per different rank. The most important part to note here is a good change where the honor gear actually starts out at a higher PvP item level, so no longer are you starting out at 190 and then having to upgrade gear a few times before it gets to 213. So without any kind of upgrades into your base honor gear, you are already getting upscaled by 40 item levels when heading into PvP scenarios. Then we can take a look at the conquest gear, as that's gotten quite a few updates. There's a lot more ranks to it now, and there's a lot newer rating that gives you upgrades of different item level for that gear. Unranked still starts out at 220 item level, upscaled to 233. The last rating of elite is now 249 item level, upscaled to 259. If you're worried about 2100 rating getting removed or reduced in PvP, it does have a lower item level outside of PvP scenarios at 246, but it's still just like elite gear upscales to 259. So essentially, if you're PvPing and you've already gone 2100, it looks like in patch 9.1.5, you'll still have some of the best PvP gear without having elite kind of overshine you. Outside of PvP scenarios, however, elite is going to be slightly better for the dungeons, the world quest, the rating. And also taking a look at some of the different rankings. You have a rating of 1000, 1200, 1400, 1600, 1800, 1950, 2100, and 2400 that will have different ranks of gear. The item levels of that gear is spread out, as Blizzard said, a little bit more granularly, allowing players to get small upgrades bit by bit. The PvP item level as well is a lot more granular, so you have a lot more ranks, which potentially might mean more honor points that you have to invest in order to upgrade this gear rank by rank by rank, but it does create a lot more ranks in between, which has some advantages. For example, if you're a player that's stuck trying to get to 2100 and you keep getting really close, but then you start falling off because you get a bunch of bad games, or maybe the LFG you lose the healer that you were running and you had to find another one, and now you're tanking your rating. As you're getting closer to 2100, from 1800, you will at least hit 1950, which now with the 9.1.5 system will allow you to upgrade your gear to a higher level. So now that you have higher item level gear, even if it's a small increase, should hopefully help you a little bit more towards reaching that next goal of 2100. For a quick overview of this gear, it looks like the gear gaps between ranks are decreased by quite a bit, whether it is with Honor gear that starts out at higher item level or Conquest gear that has a lot more ranks in between. Honor gear is now scaled in such a way where the differences between the highest rank of that gear and the lowest rank is now 20 item level difference instead of being the 39 item level difference. We're talking about the scaled item level, of course, the item level you get once you enter PvP. It's also worth noting that now the gap between the highest rank of Honor gear, scaled in PvP, and the highest rank of Conquest gear, also scaled in PvP, is 26 item level difference, which is actually a little bit smaller than the previous 30 item level difference. In their original post, Blizzard did state that they wanted to make PvP gear, specifically Honor gear, a little bit better and more competitive when it comes to getting into arenas, while also allowing players that are on the arena grind a little bit more reward structure for the in-between ranks, so it doesn't really feel like it's all or nothing gain, with small item level increases as you're climbing in rating to hopefully help you climb to the next rating bracket. While these changes are technically on the same line as Blizzard trying to make the gear, like PvP Honor gear, more competitive in PvP, and also trying to give more granular, smaller upgrades in Conquest, not everybody is going to be pleased with it. And it's impossible to please everybody, but it should be mentioned that there's quite a lot of players in WoW right now that want to be able to interact with PvP in a very casual way, while still being able to earn very competitive PvP gear without ever having to step foot into arenas or rated battlegrounds. Now, there are a couple things that I think Blizzard could do to improve on the current system so far. I feel like the current systems we have is a step in the right direction. But there's also a screenshot floating around that shows the original item level gaps for PvP content for 9.1.5. In this screenshot, you can see that the lowest ranked PvP gear actually started out at 242 and ended at Elite at 259. But if this was the original item level gaps that we're trying to implement for PvP Conquest gear, imagine how good that gap would have been in PvP Honor gear. If Conquest gear starts out at 242 item level, that means that the highest upgraded ranks of PvP gear could have started at around 240 or so, which the gap between 240 and 250, or even closer to 260, is about like, I don't know, 17, 18, 20 item levels. That definitely would have helped make Honor gear a little bit more competitive. And maybe that's something Blizzard can do going forward. Some of my personal thoughts are on what they can do with the current system that they have right now is to adjust PvP Honor gear, the battleground gear, the casual gear that you would earn from casual bits of content without stepping into foot in arena. One of the suggestions would be to reduce the amount of ranks you have in between them, or increase the item level of the maximum upgraded rank version of that PvP gear. This is a very basic gear and I feel like it should be accessible to everybody. But also the Honor gear has a bit more extra scrutiny by Blizzard devs, where you need Renown in order to be able to even upgrade to the highest ranks of that gear. I don't really know why this is the only gearing system that is locked behind Renown, as nothing like Mythic Pluses or Rating has any Renown locks, neither does Conquest gear, only Honor PvP gear. In my eyes, a acceptable form of bettering PvP gear for Renown casual gear is to either reduce the amount of ranks it has, or if you are going to keep the amount of ranks it has, take away the Renown level for it. If you are going to keep the Renown level, then you should be able to get some really decent, very powerful gear that's actually kind of sort of competitive with Conquest gear. Well, the work of PvP gearing used to be you either grinded for the things you wanted, or you were just really good at the game. And if they really wanted to, they could bring back the philosophy of grinding for the things you want by keeping the Renown levels, keeping the ranks, but upping the item level dramatically for the higher ranked Honor gear. Or just reduce the amount of ranks so people can get their casual PvP gear a little bit easier. Outside of that, I like the small changes for the Conquest gear, the little upgrades in between that you can get as you climb in rating. As you're pushing from 1800 to 2100, it's really easy to get really close and then slide back down. But now that you'll get gear upgrades at 1950, it'll hopefully give players a little bit more help in terms of pushing for that 2100. And talking about all the other ranks in between, the 1000, 1200, 1400, 1600, 1800, there's a lot more gaps in between, which hopefully should give players more opportunity to get the rating they're looking for, whether it is the elite PvP gear or 2100 highest item level PvP gear. Also, Conquest catch up in 9.1.5, and can we buy some conduits with vendors in 9.1.5 as well? That stuff would also be pretty fantastic. But besides all that, this is what we have currently for 9.1.5 PvP gearing. So if you guys want to know more stuff that's going on in 9.1.5 for PvP, subscribe to the channel, hit me up on Discord, link down below. Always there to chat with everybody. But let me know your thoughts, what you think about this video and the updates that Blizzard have so far for 9.1.5 PvP gearing. Do you think this is enough, or do you think they could do more? Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in the next update.